time to attend the webinar with us today. My name is Carol Vickers, and together with Liz Christofferson, we at Empower Consulting Group have the pleasure of hosting the Direct Pay Business Mastery Series. Direct Pay, as you probably know, is an organization committed to the success of owners of small businesses like yourself, and we are delighted to be a part of it as well. Direct Pay provides not only payment processing solutions, but also wonderful educational opportunities like this. And you can always reach them and speak to a live person and get additional advice on your business, and they will certainly consult with you one-on-one. Awesome organization and really, really helpful to small businesses like yourselves. This morning we have an amazing opportunity. We have a wonderful speaker. Clare Dreyer is a Starting Over Success Strategist and a gifted inspirational speaker. She's also a contributing author of the #1 bestselling book, Get Your Woman On. She helps her clients who've had a life kick in the pants to get in some part of their life to develop a plan for starting over with success. This work is important to Clare because she personally has successfully survived financial hardship, 2 divorces, a long drawn-out custody battle, weight gain, and being laid off at age 54. Because she had to start her life over so many times, she developed a process to help herself and others get moving in positive direction again. Her 7-step courage strategy helps others to get on with their lives more quickly with success. Clare contributes much of her success to being able to build a network of quality relationships. Clare makes people feel heard, supported, encouraged, and inspired to move on with their life. Her clients say she has an incredible ability to get to the heart of a matter quickly and create tailor-made solutions. Clare is a certified dream coach, a certified master practitioner in the art of neuro-linguistic programming. She's a certified professional behavioral analyst, a certified professional values analyst, certified Gallup strengths coach, and senior professional in human resources. And I can tell you, she's just a delight to have a conversation with. You just feel so taken care of in her presence. And she says, change is a constant, and you will be starting over again. So this is an opportunity to create the life of your dreams. Clare, we are so thankful to have you on the program today. Can you just share your brilliance with us?
Thank you so much, Carol. I'm super excited to be here. And first, I just want to thank everybody for being on this call. It's truly an honor to be a part of this webinar with you and be able to share this information. You have my commitment that I'll do everything I can to make sure this call is worth the investment of your time. And before we begin, we might want to grab some paper and a pen. I'm going to ask you to, or have you participate in some exercises. And if you're driving or you're just listening and not able to write the exercises down, you can just kind of go through them in your mind right now. And then you can always go back and listen to the recording later and complete the exercises. Either way, you're going to get great value, so stick with me and let's go. So, starting over, oh, my slides aren't advancing, Carol. Oh, there we go. Great. So, while we're doing this, while we're starting over and getting ready and you're getting your paper, let me ask you a few questions. Are you starting over again in some area in your life? Do you feel that you can get through it, but you aren't really sure how to start? Are you ready to move beyond doubt and fear to create the life of your dreams, not someone else's dreams? We're talking just about your dreams. And if you are saying yes to any of these questions, we would love for you to type a big yes in that chat box. And if you're saying yes, you are definitely in the right place. So thank you so much for everybody for saying yes. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story, since we're going to be spending the next hour together, and why this work is so important to me. Last year, at the young age of 57, I had a huge wake-up call. And at that time, I thought I had the perfect life. I was healthy. I had a wonderful, happy, and healthy husband. Our relationship was great. Our sons were doing well. I had a job that I enjoyed. I worked for a wonderful boss. I lived in a lovely home and had, many great friends. I mean, seriously, who could want more? Well, what I didn't know on January 1st of last year was that the events that would occur on Wednesday, January 30th, would change my life forever. First, on January 30th, our office had a celebration and going away party for my fabulous boss. I was happy for him to be moving on to his next job. It was, it's going to be an awesome fit for him, but, quite honestly, I was a little sad for myself. I was having a little bit of a pity party even though we were having a party for him. What I wasn't excited about was the person who is now going to be my temporary manager. We hadn't really gotten along since I had been hired, and now she was going to be in control. Really not my best case scenario. But, I'm that type of person who I'm going to make it work anyway, so I was absolutely determined to make the best of it. Maybe you've had this type of situation before in your life. Then, the second event that was that afternoon, my husband had been complaining about having some shooting pains in his arm, and he was concerned, that he might be having a stroke, and his brother had previously had a mini stroke, and heart issues run into his family. So we scheduled a doctor's appointment. He had one scheduled that afternoon. My intuition told me to, go to the appointment with him. His doctor had an accent, and he speaks very softly. And my husband is a little on the hard of hearing side, so quite frankly, the combination of all this I thought was going to spell disaster. So, many times in the past I'd ask my husband, what has your doctor told you, and what did he tell you? And he would say, I don't know, because I really didn't understand him, and what I knew was that he probably didn't hear him. So for the first time, I felt it was necessary to attend this appointment with him, and honestly, I'm really glad that I did, because the doctor, as he was listening to my husband tell his story, he really downplayed my husband's concerns, and we finally were able to persuade the doctor to at least run a few tests, to rule out the possibility that my husband had a stroke, even though the doctor didn't believe that he had had one. So the doctor agreed to scheduling for an ultrasound and a CT scan of his head. So the news. So there was some good news. The good news was that the ultrasound came back and everything was clear. However, the news from the CT scan wasn't good. And as we were driving to Monterey, California for a little Valentine's Day weekend, we received a call from a gal from the doctor's office who was just to schedule appointments for some additional testing. And the last appointment she was scheduling with us was to see an oncologist. Oh my God, what? We were so floored. Why in the world was he having to see an oncologist? I mean, this just didn't make any sense. And unfortunately, the poor gal, you don't shoot the messenger. She didn't have any more information. She was just, scheduling the appointments. But needless to say, here we are driving down to Monterey. This, made our world just spin out of control. We went from chatting about, going whale watching and discussing our lives, about how it would change if we had to face the C word, cancer. Just when you think your life is rocking along smoothly, something, anything can happen. The rug can just get pulled out from under you. And, whether you choose to start over or you're having to start over, either way, it just rocks your world. So take a look at this and, let me know if you can relate to any of these reasons. And, if you're listening to this and you can't see the screen, you're not on the webinar, here are some of the things that we kind of go through as to reasons we're starting over. Maybe you have a business restructure, or you're having to lay off staff, or business shuts down, or there's bankruptcy, or marital separation, or divorce, or kids leaving home, kids coming back in, moving back in. Maybe you're having to take care of grandchildren, or you're facing custody issues, taking care of a family member. Maybe there's a death of a close family member. Maybe you've been laid off, or you lost your home, or you're moving, personal injury or illnesses, or maybe there's been the death of a spouse, or your spouse retires. Have any of you had to face any of these, or are you facing them now? When I looked at this list, out of the 18 issues on this list, I personally have experienced 14 of them just in the past 5 years. And because you're on this call today, or if you're listening to this recording, I'm going to venture to take a guess that you found something on this list where you said, yes, I have been through that too. You know what's amazing about starting over is that we actually forget that we're having to start over all the time. I kind of call that the amnesia factor. You know, we have this idea that everything's supposed to be smooth sailing, when in reality, it's all about ups and downs, and we're always starting over. So what's funny to me is that when it happens again, why does it feel so hard? Well, part of the reason it feels so hard is because when we're starting over, we become fearful. You know, we're experiencing the loss of, the loss of the familiar, and we're heading into this territory called unknown. With the 7-step courage formula, I'm going to lay out a plan that you can use over and over again to help you any time you're having to or you're choosing to start over. And those are two different distinctions. You know, whether you're having to, you've been forced to, or you're choosing to, you can use the same formula. You just happen to be starting kind of at different places when you're choosing to or having to. So today, what we're going to cover are the secrets to moving beyond doubt and fear to create the life of your dreams. Not someone else's. These are your dreams. And tips that help you to turn challenges into opportunities. And how to pick your future themes to help you say yes to the things that are going to move you closer to your dreams and no to the things that don't. Any of you ever have trouble saying no? This will really help you to stay focused. So before we end our time together, I promise I will show you how to turn today's immediate useful information into a lasting transformation that will help you start over successfully every single time. As I was developing this 7-step courage formula, I became interested in the definition of the word courage. The original definition of the word courage, when it came into the English language, came from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. And the original definition was to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. I just love that. To tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. And today, courage is defined as the quality of mind or spirit. It enables a person to face danger, difficulty, danger, pain, without fear. It's not about being fearful, it's about being brave or bravery. The 7-step courage formula combines two concepts. It's your story of who you are and the quality of your mind and spirit that enables you to be brave when having to or choosing to just start over again, and yes, again. In the time we have today, I'm going to share with you the entire 7-step courage formula and how to get more of what makes your heart really sing. So here are the 7 steps. Step 1, the C, stands for you're capable and you can do it, and it's about choice. Oh, there's also another one, which is Clare's commandments, which we will get into. Step 2 is the O, stands for options and opportunities. Step 3 is the U, is for unleashing your inner wise self to unblock what stops you. I bet 4. R stands for resiliency and resources. Step 5, A, stands for appreciation, attitude, and action. Step 6, the G stands for gratitude, gifts, and lessons. And step 7 stands for E. The E stands for enthusiasm, excitement, and positive expectancy. When you work through this formula, if you get to the end and you are enthusiastic, excitement, or positive expectancy, I promise you have chosen the wrong thing to work on, and you get to go back to steps. Now, today in the time that we have, we're not going to be able to go to step 1 and part of step 6. So you will have the results in the beginning. And again, at the end, I promise I'll show you how you can learn more. So let's jump right into step 1. Part 1, you're capable, you can do it, choice, and Clare's commandment. For so many of us, when we feel like we've had the rug pulled out, and we're not sure that we'll have the strength to climb out. Have you ever felt that way? Scared and alone, not knowing which direction to go. And you know, when we take the time to turn around and look behind us and see everything that we've already accomplished. And when we do look at our past, we'll say things like, oh, you know, I did what I had to do to keep my business going and to keep my family together, or to keep our finances in order, or to take care of my children, or take care of my parents. Or, you know, I was just doing what I should have been doing as a good manager or leader or partner or father or mother or husband or wife or brother or sister or son or daughter. You know, to remember, as we've already been through a bunch of stuff in our lives, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, and it's what we've already been through that's going to take us confidently into our future. You know, it's part of your story of who you are, what you've already been through. And what you've already been through is actually going to take you confidently into where you're going to go next. Oh, and here's Clare's commandment. So I'd like to take a few seconds just to talk to you about what I call the S word. The S word is should. You know, when I say that word should, or I hear the word should, it literally makes me shudder. My clients, I said, here's Clare's commandment. Thou shalt not should on thyself. Should on. No. You either want to or you don't want to. Or maybe you need to, one way or the other. And please, stop shitting on yourself. So the next time that word comes out of your mouth, you can go, right. No more. determinants of how people think, behave, and feel. So it's a practical situation. However, sometimes you have your this is why we're going to use your past to build your strength so that you can confidently face your future. You're going to reconnect in your past to get it and have your pen and paper beside you. You can draw a diagram on your sheet of paper, and the way you're going to draw to describe it. So we're going to create what's called a life's ups and downs chart. Turn your paper sideways and draw an L on the piece of paper, big L, all across down the left side and down the bottom of the right. And then you want to draw a line horizontally across the middle of the page from left to right. On the left-hand side of the page, at the bottom lower left-hand corner, write the word low. And then on the top of the left-hand side of the page, write the word high. And at the bottom left-hand corner, under the bottom of the part of the L line, write the bottom corner of your page under the line. Bottom of the page, write the numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You're going to space them out. And what these numbers represent is they represent your age in years. So if you're under 50, then you're not going to add 50. And if you're under 40, you're not going to add 40. So just, put in the 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, and stop where your present age is. Now, as we go through this exercise, I want you to go through and in the position as an observer. So you're just going to be looking at and observing what's happened in your past. You're only noticing and remembering incidents now that were impactful in your life in some way back then. So you're going to stay removed from the emotions. You're not going to be in it. You're just going to observe it. It's as if you were watching a movie of your life just kind of float by on this timeline. There are going to be some highs and there are probably going to be some lows. Either way is fine. So for now, and for the sake of time, I just want you to capture and label 2 or 3 significant events in your life. Now, most of my clients have come back to this page and continue to fill in more significant events. And they found this exercise to be really rewarding and enriching and quite insightful. But for today's call, just down 2 or 3 labels of significant events in your past. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to do that. And while we're doing that, I'm going to just show you an example from my life. Now, obviously, I have a whole bunch of these on here, but I'll just kind of walk you through it so you can see how you can just label the events on there. I was adopted when I was 20 days old, and so that was definitely a highlight for me. I had included everything that's happened in between, between then and when I was in my 20s when I got married. So I'm just listing some things. So I got married, first marriage, had 2 great sons, and that ended up in divorce. So you can see that's bottom of the line. Then I got laid off after I got divorced. Then I got remarried. I started my own consulting business. And then I got divorced again, divorce number 2. Then I moved to Lake Tahoe because of my divorce. I was living in Florida at the time and moved. I got married to husband number 3, who was also the last husband of my life. And then when I married Wayne, I moved to Reno. And then we started facing these medical issues. And now I have new opportunities. So you can just kind of get a sense, and we're going to use these events. So looking at yours, just put 2 or 3 high or lows on your page right now. So you should have 2 or 3 things. It should be easy for you to recall those. And again, you can go back in and fill this in more depth and more detail to get more insight. And what I want you to do is I want you to write a chart. You're going to have your 2 or 3 events. You're going to get a piece of paper, 3 columns. And you're going to, then you'll have 2 or 3 rows, and then you can see I have 5 if you're looking at your screen, because you're going to list your events under 1, 2, or 3. So the columns that you have on the left-hand side is event, the middle column is gifts or lessons, and the column on the right is themes. And we're going to go through each one of these sections individually. So right now, all I want you to do is to write down your 2 or 3 events, just the label, under 1, 2, or 3. And I'll show you my example. So I just listed adopted, divorced, laid off, moved to Reno, and medical issues. Now, one of the things that happens with events is people get tied to their story, but all we're doing is just labeling the event, because at an event, definitely a gift or a lesson. Hopefully everybody should have that by now. The next step is we're going to look, so in the next column, using my example, so I was adopted. So what I got from being adopted, I got a fabulous family. Couldn't have asked for a better family. When I got divorced from husband number 2, I got to move to beautiful Lake Tahoe. Absolutely no idea. I learned mountain bike, I learned to snow ski, I learned to snowshoe, just all kinds of cool outdoor things. And by the through my networking, put something in their event. That category that is not you noticing? Are you noticing a trend? Have you remembered situations that where maybe you were a survivor, you're resilient, and you could choose to thrive because of your strength or your self-efficacy? Remember, your self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to succeed in any situation. So the reality is that you're a winner. And in all of your past experiences contribute to you being who you are. So instead of standing over that, remember that hole with sticks in it? You're actually standing on top of the podium of you in your personal power position. All of your experiences, everything that you have been through, now creates a solid foundation of strength and tenacity and resilience. It's all of those experiences who made you who you are. And because you are on this call, you're already a winner. And you're a winner in life. And this is what you can take and will take forward as we work through these next steps. So congratulations on being a winner. So now let's look at your themes. So when we look at themes, this is the last part of our step 1 on C, which is about choice. Now, to help you choose a direction of your life, we're going to use themes to help set this direction for your compelling future. Now, you get to determine what your themes will be for each gift in a lesson. So what I've done is I've put together this is just some examples of some themes, and you can, add to, delete. Not all these things will fit for you, and I'm sure you're going to come up with other themes that I don't have on this list, but sometimes it's easier to just kind of start here and other things will come up for you as you're going along. And if you're listening in instead of, watching the webinar right now, I'm going to just go through the list of the themes so you can put this on your chart. So go back to your chart. You've gotten your event, you got your gift and your lesson, and now what you want to do is you want to start your themes. So these are the themes that are just some examples of places for you to start. You might have a theme of connection. Maybe you're seeing a theme of creativity. Is there potentially a theme of freedom? Wanting to get away, having more freedom in your life. Do you see a theme as a survivor? What about self-expression? How about developing wisdom? Is there a theme of calmness? Maybe a time of inner peace? Maybe a time where you're embracing your personal power? Maybe you have a theme of resilience, expanding your horizons. Maybe it's a time of education and enrichment. Health. Discovery, authenticity, courage, harmony, vibrant health, and love, creating a nurturing home, family. Again, these are just some themes that, just as options and things for you to think about. Add more things to your list. So take a minute and a few seconds to write that down on your chart, what your themes are. I want to show you some examples of some things. life, and I could start over again. Then I was laid off. So the gift of the lesson, got to move to Texas with Wayne, and we got married. Again, it was about courage. I really didn't realize how much my self-esteem was tied up in my job title. That way. You know, about social media. So I took it all to learn social media at the time. So we moved back to Reno. Through my networking, I got the job at the university. So it was about community, connection, learning, and I had the opportunity to teach and do a lot of volunteer work, which was awesome. And now my fifth issue are medical issues. It really, the gift of the lesson gave us an opportunity to reestablish the priorities of our life. So my themes now are courage, connection, family, resilience, and teaching. I'm sure you're going to see some themes that are kind of congruent and are running through. You can see courage runs through my themes. Connection runs through my themes. Learning runs through my. You're going to probably see those golden threads running through your themes as you're, kind of go back and look at your life. So now that you've box on the left, right current. On the box on going through this webinar, but take the time to come back to this. And I really want you to explore it. And as you're kind of going through your day and you go back and you look at that list of themes that we had on there, are there any that you want that you can see you don't have in your life? Or are there themes you've got now that you want to continue to move forward? Really makes your heart sing. So in that category under future, I want you to write down a few of your future themes. again, you can come back to this after you've had time to think it over. It's really interesting, some things that came up to me later as I've been thinking about this and doing this. I've been doing this for on my current things. I'm going to share with you kind of how that's played out in my life. But so feel free on your journey. Again, you can just kind of go back to that list and feel free to add your own. Let's see, 6, 7 that I claim this. This is my future thinking. I claim flexibility, freedom, family, connection, community, and teaching. When you claim your future themes, you're actually claiming your intention. You're setting your intention out there to the world and saying, this is what I want. Your life. And what really makes your dreams and what makes your heart sing. And when you feel, I don't know about you, I felt sometimes. So when you feel maybe uninspired or unenthusiastic or maybe even a little scattered, you can also use your future themes to help you to regain focus and work to create what you want in life and what makes your heart sing. Do you have a specific action plan? Or do you have support in place to ensure that you get there? If you don't, I have something that I'm just giving away from you. There's nothing to stop. But at any point in time, you go to my website. It's Clare Dreyer. Their relationship.
having difficulty with the audio. I'm wondering if you are able to hear me. Claire, I am not actually able to hear you, so I will take it that we're on the final slide, and I apologize for my participation here. I haven't been able to fully engage, but I thank you so much for the presentation today, and hope that you've been able to get some response as well.